So, totally winging it. When I started my healing journey in 28, well, healing journey started in 2015. But when I put myself out on the road and was with Global Witness and that era, actually, there's Derek. Do you see that picture? I think I might be aiming it. Mr. Derek Bros, I hope you're doing good. I'm glad that you have a good partner next to you. I couldn't help but notice that Sarah, that's right. Hi, Sarah. I couldn't help but notice when you guys put out that video that, first of all, this video is about grieving, obviously. What a ride today. From 8 p.m. last night, I was graced with the tremendous amount of intensely vast support, and by that I mean far and wide, from California and Arizona, and just from all the travels. And that's why I was like thinking, Global Witness, what's up? I know it's called something else. Willing Witness, I think you said. You look at this girl. I'm a mess, sorry. That's when we were doing the Witness in the Desert. Yos, be sweet to each other. Hey, be nice to your brother. Thank you. Okay. What I'm dealing with today is grief. I'm remembering this younger Jeanette, which wasn't that long ago, and how I would do videos like this all the time, everything from Book of Miracles to Bible to Book of Enoch. Guys, come on. These poor guys are stuck in this tiny spot. And it's too cold outside now to really. So the biggest thing about looking back is all the things you start remembering. And you don't want to let those things go. And I rewatched the videos several times, and it's been so helpful. And I didn't expect that, because I was first so afraid of this video, and it's become such a blessing to my soul. And then I go, oh, that timeline was off, and that day skipped, and then I'm like, oh, I never said this, or and there was so much anger that got released today, and then I'm like, dude, see, life is so good. And then I remember several people were like, you know, they come in waves. It's gonna come in waves. And I got a wave today. And I'm like, I'm doing good. And then this morning, the first thing I see is a commentary from Felicia, and I was like, I released that, and then that allowed me to think about, I don't know how old she is. I didn't like to look at her, and before I didn't really, you know, pay attention, not out of disrespect. I just, you know, you can't pay attention to every person. I knew her brother Ben, because he's like, what's that, you know. But Felicia, I hadn't paid so attention to really. And then when I released the anger today, I don't even know how old she is. And then I was thinking about right across the street and how wonderful his kids are and what a good dad he is and what a loss they've just suffered themselves. And then I think about what I said on that video and I'm like, I'm such an asshole, you know? And I thought about it a lot. So I was working tonight. I have really good bosses. And this town it's a good night in the town. And there was good stuff happening. And at 8 I was allowed to I was working and then they were doing the show and I got to go and enjoy it. And then, I mean, I'm like right at the front because that's what I used to do at school. I don't want to see nobody, so I go right to the front because I wouldn't have to fucking pay attention to anything other than what's in front of me. And especially when it's theater, because I did 20 years of theater, I get to the front and I get fucking into it. And then I get the crowd going because I'm one of those people that in a crowd, I can get a crowd going because I fucking dig it, you know? And I was digging this energy of having theater at the T Road tonight in a way. It was burlesque. And it was, I'm like, somebody gave me a hug. And I remember the last time that I seen her was with Kai. And it just, all these, Kai could speak Spanish, call it construction Spanish. Okay, so when a hot white boy speaks good Spanish, it's, fuck, dude, come on, amazing, right? No, those thoughts keep getting interrupted. It's like, how old is Fleet? How is this affecting everybody else? And my brain, like I know my ex-husband used to say, you can't actually feel your brain, Jeanette, but like I feel it numbing. And I'm almost afraid to find out how old she is because I'll feel like an extra asshole. How weird is that? And then I was like, why were you so angry? And my brain just, my friend who's a professional mental health person, she worked with trafficked people and I mean the real intense shit. And my friend Sandra, they said it at the same time, it's normal. It's normal. Your mind trying to shut down purposely for memory's sake. And I'm sorry guys, I'm so tired and this, I haven't gotten my glasses. I was supposed to get glasses. They were actually prescription, but look at these guys. I love them. My brain is doing this because it doesn't, I don't know why, but it's a normal grieving thing. When someone dies, your memories get a little weird. I'll do more research on it. I found a book on audibles and because yeah, when you're going through something, we have a world of education online. You can just go check it out and there's like all this stuff and if you have Audible, you know, not to sound like a fucking commercial, but if you pay a little extra, you can rent all these and interchange them. It's I don't know what the fuck to call it, but it's cool. And so I put in grieving and I'll start listening to those so I can give more educated information because the last time I went through someone dying, was a while ago, and before that it was even a longer while ago. So haven't had to endure a lot of close deaths. I don't know, it's like embarrassing to have had so much anger, especially in a public forum, really, or just to have it. Like, why was I so angry at her? She's because I don't really look at her face. I realized I'm like I keep going, what does she really look like? And I was half wanting to run into her just so I could look at her face to see how old she is. I'm glad that the anger and the rage and the because it was thoughtless. I can't remember her ever pissing me off like intentionally ever. Like just the one time I could really think of when she came to the truck, she was pissed off and I was fucking, that's the moment of betrayal where you're like, I just got betrayed. I guess I was angry because I know she has I don't know enough about her. I was angry at the betrayal and the fact that he didn't follow me. The fact that he didn't follow me out of the truck that one time. In that moment, that was so like monumental to me. I just remember it so distinctly when I realized the betrayal was there and I walked away and he didn't follow. And I guess my brain, now that I'm past the anger, is like, all this doubt starts coming in. And I should really be calling a sister right now to find out how much more I can learn about him, because I talked to her today and it was like, wow. And then it was like, boom, boom, all these new realizations, because how well could he express himself? I mean, he killed himself. I know there was a lot of shame there, how far back and how deep, and all these questions are popping up. Where did that anger come from? Why am I directing it? Like, why is it still there? This anger, in the sense of like, it's almost now trying to find, and it almost wants to come back on me. Tired. It didn't help. It's like I have started dreams that am I angry because, I mean, was my heart and my brain trying to say, if she wasn't there? I don't know that. I didn't know him long enough to know that. And so I guess I should just seek out more information. And I mean, that's what I always do when I don't understand something or there's a new concept. I always just like the world of the internet, because I'm like a geek that way. And it's so readily available. So for people out there who I undoubtedly know, hello subscribers. God, I hadn't even said hello. It's been a long time since I've done these. Usually there's a book in my hand and glasses on my face. The journey continues, I guess, because it feels very much like it used to when I would do these all the time. the roller coaster of today is outside of just the layers of the grieving. When I was hugged tonight, I went from hoo-hoo at the burlesque show at the T Road right there, being a mouse techie, because like, what do they call them? They had a cute nickname for it, but I was helping with some prop stuff. And after 3 songs of like woohoo and crowd cheering, and I'm just like, oh my God, I missed either. Ashley hugged me. It's like this beautiful, she was just set to go on stage. I was just on. And this beautiful Ashley comes and just hugs me. And she's like, model beautiful, you know, and I was on the floor, and she comes up, and it was like even the movement, because she's getting ready to perform, and I was just gonna hug her, and then I was running out the fucking door and just running down the street and running up here, and I had to like sit here and again watch the video. It's a part of the video, and I had no idea it was gonna be such a. I never in a million years expected that video to be helping me with the grief so much. It's like my blanket now or something. And then I have his picture up there, and suicide thing. I mean, my mind hasn't wanted, like, the most I could. What if you'd known him longer, Jeanette? Imagine. I don't know. I think it was longer than 6 years. I don't know how long they were together. And if I'm feeling this way, 7 months. And how is she feeling? 6 years or 8 or whatever the fuck it was. I didn't know that shame was going to be part of grief. And I think it's because it went public like this that otherwise I may not have caught it as fast. This town is so small. I have to pass. I mean, God, I live on a set is what it feels like. I'm not joking, guys. It's 4 fucking blocks. I don't know why so many people are dying. Everybody has theories. I hope it's something good, because that's what I'm lending my energy to. But do I know? No, that's just my bet. So when I felt him and got to connect with him, and I was like, boom, done, grief, fucking A, he's I felt him, I heard him, it was fucking awesome. Okay, he's great. And Jules said it twice to me. From this, there's different Jules, but you know which Jules said it. It's gonna come in waves, Jeanette. And I had a wave today, and thanks to that, I expected it. It wasn't a shock. It was like right away. It's like it comes in waves. And I'm over the anger. Okay, here's the shame for having had that anger, because you're a fucking adult, and that was fucked up because she's a fucking much younger individual than you, and how dare you? She's been with him for 6 years, and so that shame and guilt hits, and you're like, how did you not realize that before? Oh, well, there's dissonance because he's dead, and the way he died and everything, blah, blah, blah. Ultimately, what is it? You were betrayed, and you felt betrayed, and you couldn't fucking, he disintegrated in front of us. So who else to blame? There's a bit of self-forgiveness only thanks to Sarah, because she, the love she has for her brother is like movie epic. And I say that because I don't know of that sort of dynamics in my family. The closest is, of course, my nephew, but that's my nephew. I have to be, I'll take a bullet for it. Well, I mean, more parental is what I'm saying. than brother sister, because my dynamic was not worthy of that sort of. It wasn't awesome, like Kai and Sarah. And she told me some stories, and I got so excited because I'm like, because of his mental health and because of the levels of guilt and shame, guilt, regret, all those hard to live with, which is, we are talking about his suicide here. And there's all this epic, just getting, like, I'm going to call her afterwards to hear more, because it's like a gift, because now you can understand him better. And so again, when it comes to Kai, there is no anger, because just with the stories I heard now, the little tidbits I heard today before work, I'm just like, oh my God, that makes so much more sense. And of course he would, like, oh, and that would mean, and so I get to continue to get to know him through someone that dearly loved him, had no judgment of him, and would have moved and did move mountains or states for him. And so I'm excited about that. And that's a huge gift, because that's not typical, right? So that's an odd mental health illness gift that I didn't expect. Because what he said was real and what wasn't, and what parts of those, because of the mental illness, and what was part of guilt or regret, or having twisted the information just a little bit to get away from certain guilt. So in that way, that relationship feels like it's still there, because apart from the spiritual, because in what we had, it's still there, because now I get to have the privilege to explore more of it. And due to the mental illness, it's like putting a puzzle together, but it's like a love puzzle where you just get to know the person better, even though they're physically not here anymore. So that's an incredible gift. And it's good to speak on it. And if you're out there and you have stories of a loved one that passed, I'm looking for patterns, like I always am. Clues and signs, and you want to share that after death first connection is someone that I guess would be considered supernatural, or of outwardly, or whatever, connection to the other side. I think that would be good. But let's counter it with the anger part of grieving. And Flea, if you see this by chance and you want to speak on that, like connecting to the other side with a loved one that's passed on, and anger, because I guess that's why you put that video out. Anyone that actually knows me knows that because of being on stage for so long and being so dysfunctional before that, theater is what taught me how to behave. Before that, I was a freak. Up until 17, I had no fucking social skills. I was sexually abused from fucking, 3.5 to 17. So it was like, and I didn't ever get to really do anything. I was always, kind of sequestered in a way, because having lived more and seen more now, I know that I was as a young person, from a kid to a preteen to a teenager, I should have gone out and about a lot more than I did. I was just always at the house or at school or at my mom's work, you know. And so having heard stories about, like, crazy stories about Sarah and Kai, I'm like, fuck, dude, you guys were nuts. Incredible stories. I didn't have that. And so I'm looking at so many different things right now, but in just bits and pieces, because the brain is like missing him so much. You walk down the street, and because it's such a small town, there's so many memories, and I only have 7 months worth of those memories. They were, as a couple, they were here for 6 years, and they actually had cars and stuff, so they traveled around. I don't look for his car anymore, or his truck. I don't check my phone. And then I walk up here, I know he's not going to be here, so I lock the door because there's no one coming. He's not here anymore. So in essence, what I'm dealing with grieving wise is shame for having felt angry, because I'm dealing with mental illness. I'm dealing with a young person that had to, for whatever way that they dealt with it, and however they may have helped or damaged each other further, Kai wasn't easy to live with. Sometimes, of course, but mental illness made it such that there's all these questions that I'm looking forward to finding out, but I would only know that if I stopped being such a cunt and talked to her. And then I have to question, like, what about her behavior made me angry? And that's such a huge thing that I'm like, how much do you actually know, Jeanette? You were dealing with mental illness and massive amount of regret and guilt in this man. How broken was he? We never got to the therapist, and I don't have enough information. Where am I going to know more about? And do I have to? The opportunity is there. Why wouldn't I? I love him. I was excited to hear things I won't repeat here about his life, that I was just like, he did. Ooh. So I'm excited to find out more. And for the people out there that was like, what the fuck's up with Jeanette? We hadn't seen her in what, I don't even know how long it's been since I've been here in this sort of complex PTSD and all that, you know, mental health help as I learned it channel, which is what this originally was, and spiritual channel as I was learning all the new spirit. So to all y'all subscribers that saw me super pissed, and Jeannie, thank you. Miss Apple. So I think of you, Miss Apple. What's that? I was lovely talking to you today, and what a treasure that was. What the fuck happened to Jeanette? She's fucking angry at somebody that lost somebody they love too. and then you go up there and you show up and say, well, you did this, and what are you trying to get her to fucking get into a depression? Are you trying to throw guilt on someone that you don't know hardly anything about? Because how much of what Kai said was real, I have no fucking idea. I really have to fucking sit with that. Like, because she said, you're assuming all this and it's all misinformation. And I'm like, I know what I know in the sense of seeing him. There's certain things that, like I said, are just facts. When you know somebody and you have to help them, for like the biggest example, what I was saying, the 2 months of like having to hold him a lot and discuss a lot, like anxiety and anger and just, you know, because of seeing his ex across the street with his best friend or whatever. I don't know the dynamics of what actually is there. Mental illness made it such that he could have been connecting other things from other traumas that triggered something else, because this man killed himself and was really under a heavy load. Otherwise, he wouldn't have done it. But it was sustained for so long. This may have been, the last straw could have been so small that here we are, like, here I was fucking pointing fingers, like, well, if you had not done this, I could have helped. Like, how the fuck do I know that? I have no idea. I have no, like, common sense is kicking in right now. Thank you. Wow, common sense is kicking in. The fact is, like, okay, looking at it from a bird's eye view, I have not enough information on this individual, if I'm looking at it from a bird's eye view, to have made any claims of any kind, in the sense that what he said and how he said it and when he said it, and it may be, I may have felt the authenticity of it and therefore took it as fucking fact. But what if it was triggering something else that is just not even related? Because that happens to us often. Just living human beings that, with the best of minds, with college degrees, you know, like, that get fucking A's in Harvard or whatever, you know. But this is someone whose brain wasn't working the way that, you know, someone like average like me, like, I'm not average in the sense that I'm not the brightest, like, smartest person, but I'm not the dumbest. I'm just average, you know, like, but pretty good. And yet it took me having this public to in prayers, thank you guys, because I know that had to be prayers, to just all of a sudden not be angry. I was talking to her online this morning, just going, and by the time I got to the bottom, and I was like, what the fuck did you just call me? And then I was just like, oh shit, Jeanette, you're not even angry anymore. Like, what is this? Did the anger just dissipate like that? And is it going to come back in waves like the grief? And then I just have to think, she's a human being. He had mental illness. I'm a human being. He's a human being, of course, too. But we weren't in a stable anything at any point. And due to the betrayal, the lack of trust was duh, you know? So I guess I'm realizing how unemotionally intelligent I have become in this since the last time I saw y'all, subscribers. My emotional intelligence from when I was diligently on my hero's journey, and this Jeanette, what would she have to say to me in this situation? What would you have to say? I remember how I used to think on the road, constantly in scriptures and constantly in nature, and dealing with the grief of having lost like everyone I ever knew, really, through abandonment and all that shit. And yet there was all this beautiful new world, and how exciting was it that I got to leave that place and that era of my life, and the excitement of where am I going to end up. And now here we are from 2018 to now, and it's like I'm very established here, and I was going to go to Alabama, and this 7-month relationship allowed me to stay here. And I know I have to honor that, because that was what was said in our first date. You know, you can't leave Crestone Jeanette, Kai had said. And now it's like, no, yeah. I'm so grateful for him. And then what I'm feeling now is guilt. Is guilt part of the steps of grieving, or is it just when it's suicide? All right, guys. I really just did this for myself and for Flea, because I felt a lot of shame today. I don't know her at all. And something she said today in a comment that I don't even know her enough to know anything about her. Like, why am I trusting her? See all this stuff due to the betrayal, and due to the very different lifestyles, and due to the different dynamics of not even knowing what the level of mental illness that we were really dealing with. I don't actually know. And sometimes guys just fucking lie. You know, what the fuck, you know, guys are just like, oh, I get to fucking have 2 girls to go bouncing back and forth on. It's a lot to process. So I pretty much, whenever I realize I fucked up, I like to fix it as quickly as possible. So I'm sorry, Flea. You know that man took a lot of effort. And if your dynamics were similar even by 50% to what, there's a reason I held on. And there's a reason why I would explode too, because it was such a heavy load that when the flippancy would come up, or it was like, did you, mental illness is hard to depend on. I couldn't, there were times where he showed such intricate, beautiful, like, he's such a giving man and such a loving man, that the attention to detail and the way he'd remember. And like when he started just speaking Spanish to me, I would get better every fucking day. I mean, there was a point where we were just speaking in Spanish for like, that was so fucking, the most beautiful, sexy and endearing. And it was just like, I really saw a future with him. Like, that could be my husband. Like, that was my, because he spoke Spanish so fucking good. And he was like, there were so many good qualities about him. He could just like, when he was on, and he could just fucking do things quickly. And like when he was cleaning, some people like do a construction and they'll like take forever. He did it really fast, and then by the time you walked in and walked out, it was pro. Like everything was cleaned up, everything was fucking squared off, and everything was level, you know. And it was like, damn, you did this in how long? And everything was cleaned up and perfect. Guys, please. No, stop it. I know it looks like they're fucking each other up, but they're not. He's incredibly gentle with him. This one is just like likes to be whiny. I've made sure. So if you see them like, oh my God, the dog's eating the cat's head. No, they're not. He's very gentle with him. He's just a little whiny. So I guess that's the processing for today. I don't know, man. My grandpa passed. He had been sick for a long time. Kai, in a way, had been sick for a long time, but nobody would have. Obviously, his mother would, because she was always so worried about it. And obviously, see, there's so much to this that it's just brought me to like, Jeanette, you really need to ground. That Jeanette would have been like, I was really in the spirit then, so it was always about other people. That's how my healing happened so fast. What the past was doesn't matter anymore, but that young lady had a lot to deal with, and I chose to teach as I learned, so it was in the moment. Helps you process a lot better when you share that with others, because I don't know, it activates different parts of the brain. It focuses the brain. You're looking for the patterns and the connections faster that, you know, spirit allows if you walk in spirit. And that young lady walked in spirit. So Kai's death is gonna help me ground, because I have no interest in moving on. There's still so much to figure out, and who knew that you could have that privilege and that mental illness would actually, he had his point of view, and he told me specifically, repeatedly, the stories I chose to share were the real specific ones that I had heard multiple times, because that made me feel like, no, that one was legit. But how do I know that? There's so many dynamics. I look forward to getting to know him better, even though he's not physically here anymore. I really do think of that as a gift, and I'm amazed that Sarah, you're a gem. You have helped tremendously. Oh my God, tremendously. I don't know how I would have dealt with all this, Sarah, if it wasn't for you. His sister Sarah is amazing. You're a lifesaver. Thank you. I guess that's it. I didn't expect Kai in the first place. I didn't expect the bobs and weaves that came. I didn't expect it only last 7 months, and I didn't expect it would end the way it did, and I didn't expect for it to go public like this, and yet if it's starting to feel, I don't know the right word for it. It's like a gift, but it's obviously not the type of gift anybody would have chosen in this way. To love him after death through the people that knew him because of his mental illness. These are the people that might have be able to take the insanity that I failed to aid in, and through it, because of how much they love and know him, get to see maybe parts of why it ended up the way it ended up, why certain quirks that I never understood and I wish I could, maybe they'll come to life, and I'll be able to connect and see the pattern and go, oh, that's. And as an actor, that really cared about a craft. I couldn't go on stage in front of an audience unless I believed it and processed it through so that I could connect with it from something of mine, if at all possible. How often do we look at someone or not look at someone, like when I'm saying in regards to Flea, and how I couldn't even really tell you how old she was because I haven't really looked at her. And we have this perception, and then we have these hurts that happen, and we just put, it was immature of me. And just because I could look at a situation and go, there was all these things, there was no reason for me to be so closed off. That girl wouldn't have been closed off. Not at the point of that picture. And maybe being in a 4-block town has closed me off. And I really need to look at that. And I didn't expect Kai's death to be gifting me so much mental health work and spiritual work. Now all the energy I was directing at him and helping him with. You know, we used to sit around and read books together. I have been waiting for a man that would be excited about sitting around. Okay, you read. Oh, it's my turn to read. You read. It's not. Okay, it's not my turn to read. And who spoke Spanish without an accent. Ah! I would never have ever let him go. And then I think about the last times we were trying to read a book. We both did it. We were like, how come we don't read books anymore? And I was like, which book you want to read? But I was so like, he chose to ask that question in the middle of a fight about shame, understanding that, yeah, wow. Had no idea how much I'd slipped from where that younger lady, it's only been since 2018. What a difference a few years makes when you get into the routines that we get into. And then tragedy happens. And then the world's like tripping out. And then you have little guys to take care of too. And we'll close it off with that. Because you guys are just fucking adorable. I love you. Mwah.